I started out, I wanted to be a pilot and tried to join the Air Force and found I couldn't see, so I got out and I'd become an electrician at that time, so I combined electrical with aeronautics, well, physics. It's a very basic science. So I started in physics and got a degree in physics and engineering department. My big break was after I got out of college. The missiles were just taking off. There were no missiles at that time. So the Glenn L. Martin Company from Baltimore came out and recruited me from the University of Oklahoma. And I came back and started working on the various kind of missile systems, air-to-air, ground-air, all kinds. And I designed, tested missile systems. From there, I went with a group of about 200 of us to go from Baltimore to Denver to start the Titan ICBM missile system. So went there and worked on. There were no ICBMs at that time, so we were in competition with one other company, but the Titan ICBM made out it was the best one, and so I worked there until we actually had one on the field. My family wasn't all that stable, so I went to a number of schools, but then I went to Veneta, Oklahoma School, and that's where I graduated from high school. And from there then I went immediately into a junior college because I wasn't quite old enough for it. The war started 2 days after my birthday, so in December 5th. So I went to school for about a semester, and I got drafted into the service. So that's how my education started. But then after the war, I went on a GI Bill, and that's when I became a physicist. Physics was one, the way I considered it, it was the quantitative science. And and what I did, because I was working on ICBMs and knowing that you could destroy the world, and that we technical people, never started a war in history of humankind. So I decided that what I would do is make the soft sciences, philosophy, and the social sciences, I would make them a hard science, like physics. Of course, so you make it, so if it's a quantitative science, you can't lie to each other. But I actually was at a conference one time. 3 guys claimed to be the top scientists in the world in knowledge. At the end of each one, I said, and how do you define knowledge? They each had a different definition of knowledge. So they couldn't even have a conversation. So that's what got me off into, well, by that time I was off into building a quantitative life science. My crowning achievement is that I have pursued the thought of developing a quantitative life science. I have 3 published books, and I'm finishing up the last one, and it should be as basic to the social and behavioral sciences as Newton's work was to the mechanical hard sciences. So that's what my desire is. It's what I've been working on many years, and that and I'm almost there. I'm down to the last book, and I have the science worked out on that. I have lived longer than most other people. there are only about 3% of World War II vets still alive. I happen to be one of those. So now that's a good achievement from my point of view. I have a plaque on my wall over my desk in the office. You probably read that, but it is persistence. And it says, well, it was by Calvin Coolidge, and it's a famous one. And there's a bunch of famous idiots and all that sort of thing. But if it's persistence, I could have given up many, many times, but I'm persistent in doing what I'm trying to achieve, which is a quantitative life science. So there are so many people that don't believe it at all. I mean, you can't even conceive of it. So I'm persistent in getting it done. As a result of that, I have the 3 published books. One of the top scientists in the world reviewed the draft of my second book. They didn't even consider energy, and energy is universal for everything that exists. Things working out, it'd be a legacy for the sciences of life, as Newton was, the sciences, physical sciences. That's what can happen. You persist until you make things happen. And that's, I could have given up many, many times on the work I'm doing. I did all this in my spare time. So, while I was still, working and doing interesting things, a few inventions. But I was persistent. Family had broken up, my brothers and sisters, because such a big swing from 10 years down to 2 weeks. We haven't really lived together any time in our lifetime. But still, brothers, sisters, they support me. They support what I'm doing. I think I'm a little bit crazy, but but I think they know what I'm trying to do. Maybe a visionary, maybe a doer, just an achiever. They try to achieve things, and that's I want people to recognize me for what I've done, what I've achieved.